Welcome back to the Colonial's football pregame show. And if you are a local sports fan, there was a lot to cheer about this weekend. It all started off with the Phillies winning Game 1 on Friday afternoon with a thrilling ninth inning. Then the Colonials won Friday night's game, which we'll take a look at more later. Then another Phillies win on Saturday to send them to the NLDS. And finally, to cap it off, there was an extraordinary Eagles win with a gutsy game on Sunday. Now, I'd like to take this time before we truly start the show to congratulate the Phillies on making it to the divisional series for the first time in 11 years, and the Eagles on starting out 5-0 for the first time since 2004. And in other more important news, I'm actually currently 0 for 2 on my game predictions. Thank you. I was wrong about the Colonials losing to Cheltenham 2 weeks ago, and the week after that, I was off by 7 in each direction of my prediction for the final score. Now, speaking of last week's game, let's break it down right now. On Friday, the Colonials played their second divisional game of the season on the road against William Tennant. The game was over before halftime as PW went into the locker room with a generous 49-0 lead over the Panthers. The second half was no different, with the second unit keeping the ball on the ground to concoct a beautiful drive that led to the Colonials scoring a season high in total points somewhere in the third quarter after tacking on the 2-point conversion. The fourth quarter included minimal action, with William Tennant scoring a nifty passing touchdown with their quarterback under pressure at around the 3-minute mark left in the game. The other 9 minutes of football involved PW running the ball to keep possession and run the clock out. The Colonials left the game unharmed with an effortless win over Tennant 57-7. Now this week, I got an interview about last week's game from the offensive line coach, Coach Fry. Here's that audio now. What are your goals going into Friday's game?
I would say that our goals for every week, they don't change. Come out and perform to our best. Score points, obviously. High-powered offense and a stifling defense to go along with that. Our game plan doesn't change regardless of the team that we play. We come out and we play our game every week, and we should come out pretty happy with the result.
Yeah. What do you think you need to improve on for this week's game against Springfield?
Springfield's more physical than most of the teams that we played the last couple weeks. I think that sticking to the basics, doing the basic things that our guys are taught are going to lead them down the path of success. So I think it's just getting back to the basics and making sure that we're following our base rules and everything like that for each guy. And that'll help us the most this week against Springfield.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I have to say, I really like that Coach Fry is prioritizing a strict weekly plan for his O-line. I personally like to plan a lot, but my plans don't usually go to plan. That's why I'm on this side of the microphone. But, it's really important because this has really kind of helped in the player development that we've seen since week 1. The way they've been running the ball has kind of set up the play action. And even we've seen like these just kind of strange runs up the middle go from losses to gains, with the use of like these nifty jump cuts and taking the ball up the left side, which we saw a lot about on Friday. Really just finding the space and these players putting on the goggles under their helmet, which has been, having them see great vision. I really think it's important that the team is going back to the basics, and that's really helped with their player improvement as well. Coach Fry also talks about how physical Springfield is. It's this physicality that has won them 4 games this season. They haven't been blowing out opponents like PW, but the extra effort has improved the entire program to a winning record in just 1 year. Now, the Colonials are physical, but I feel that sometimes our players do a little too much dancing in the backfield. That is, since they're a triple option team and they utilize the run a lot, it's 50-50 most of the time. Like I said earlier, they've kind of been trying to set up the play action, but, you can't get too pass-happy in Plymouth Meeting. We've seen that with a lot of professional and college teams. For me personally, it's not that I don't think O'Brien can throw the ball accurately. The biggest thing for me was that I don't feel like sometimes they have enough confidence in the receivers to run the routes. You see them get almost like they're setting up for downfield blocking because they're immediately going to run the ball. And I just don't think that's, kind of the basics that they're supposed to be looking at. I think you should be trying some of these aspects, especially when you're winning games by as many as 50 points. feel like you should be trying to, improve your second, third unit, because God forbid someone gets injured. You can't have the whole season go, down the toilet. There's too much on the line here. Lost in the second round of the playoffs last year, and it should really be a revenge season for these seniors, because there's a lot of them, a lot of hungry ones too. On that note, we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Grammy Award-winning Philadelphia Orchestra is back. Live at 300 South Broad Street, music is being reimagined. Tickets start for our fall calendar at only $45. Get your tickets for our digital stage performance starting at only $15. Learn more at philorchestra.org and get your tickets today. That's philorchestra.org. Now that's music to my ears.
Their party.
Yay.
Your party. Yay! Hear the difference? That's because you chose Mel's Italian on the Hill. Mel knows how to throw a party. He's been doing it for over 25 years. Treat your guests to the freshest seafood, steaks, and pasta from Mel's Milan menu. You'll agree it's the best Italian food this side of Philly. Let Mel and his staff take care of you and your party with outstanding service and free valet parking. Call for details. 610-668-1712. Mel's Italian on the Hill, 201 Jefferson Street in Belmont Hills. Mel's Italian on the Hill. And then there's Mel.
Welcome back to the Colonials football pregame show. The Colonials return home to play their third conference game this season against Springfield Township High School. The last time these teams met, they squared off on the Spartan turf in a game that was locked at 14 by the end of the first quarter. After, the Colonials stepped up their defense to shut out Springfield, while in the process scoring 3 touchdowns in 2 quarters to secure the win. This game, I feel like, will be a lot different. However, I think the final score will be the same in the sense that the Colonials have a 3-headed monster in the backfield containing Luke Winterbottom, Nazai Boggs, and Aiden O'Brien, who seems like he could just do it all at this point. We've really seen how this group has improved. It's really the core of the offense. Occasionally we'll get those breakout plays with downfield open receivers or, the pick six or fumble recovery, safety, all that. But they run, I'd say, if let's say they go for 500 yards in a game. I feel like close to 400 of those yards have to be on the ground. I mean, they just have to be. They have too many weapons. Even when they do that little screen pass thing, they're picking up 15 yards at least. I think another important thing to mention is the improved Colonials defense since week 1 and week 2, week 3 even, in the sense that those first 3 weeks, they were 1-2. They weren't looking like they were going to be the same team we saw last year. But if you've been paying attention, as they came home for this little homestand, Cheltenham and last week against Tenet, they have not been letting up very many points, to say the least. They shut out a good number of teams so far. 3 of their 5 wins have been in shutout, and which we've covered on previous shows, but they got their first safety a few weeks ago, and I kind of felt like that was a turning point for this defense. Seems like it's a big deal to get an extra 2 points. I wouldn't know. I don't really I don't play that much football, but I certainly watch a lot. They've been getting a lot of sacks. To lay those hits on the quarterback, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, I think, for the defense, especially since a lot of those defensive players are offensive players. You can translate that momentum from drive to drive like that. It's gonna flip quite easily. I also want to talk about the Spartans' improved record, going from 4-2 already to a team that had only 6 wins last year. That's not to say that they're completely out of the race. Obviously, if some of your bigger names in the division start losing, like Cheltenham, Upper Dublin, even PW, which we don't want to happen, they could be a wild card team. Their physicality has gotten them there, as we talked about earlier. This is probably going to be one of the hardest teams that this new PW team, I'm using air quotes, has played, entering the second half of the season in this division series. Cheltenham choked in the rain a few weeks ago. Tenet wasn't going to be very good, but this team, this is probably your pretest to what you're going to see at Upper Moreland in that final game of the season, which I'm really looking forward to. That should be a good game. Also, Friday, it's community night. A lot of people going to that game, from all the way up to the moms and pop-pops and all the way down to the little children should be there. I would think, if not watching it from home. So the crowd should be on PW's side. However, these teams, Spartans and Colonials, are only separated by Ridge Avenue, very close to each other. So you could very well see those away stands packed. Like I said, should be a good game. So I'm not sure what to expect, but usually the crowd has a big impact on these players. Last year I was talking with Aiden O'Brien about that, and he said, it's very hard to play against an away crowd, and truth be told, it is. You got people screaming when you want it to be quiet. So this could be a very even matchup on all sides of the game in terms of crowd, defense, offense. Sure, I'm missing a few, but that's all I could think about at this point. I remember I also talked about a few weeks ago, I think it was probably the first show, how the Colonials, to win some games, they're pretty much over at halftime. Whether it's a win or a loss or decided by a few points or a little, however, big difference, small difference. But what I've seen is, me personally, and I think you guys might agree with me too, is the Colonials are one of very few teams that have that mental strength to attack the big games. We saw that with Cheltenham, which should have been a big game, kind of turned out it wasn't. They, when the offense wasn't working, they just amped up the defense, amped it up big time, got the safety, then capitalized with the next scoring drive. I know Springfield's supposed to be physical, but I think PW, if they win this game, will win it with other aspects and trying to stay calm. What if PW is not the first team to score? Especially high school, college football. When you're the first team to score, it is a big deal, big time deal. That's why I think even if they're not the first to score, can the Colonials score the next two? Or can they get two stops in a row, right? Let's say they're going, maybe the script is flipped. Maybe it's 35-14 going into the locker room at halftime, right? High-scoring game. Are they going to be able to remember how important this game is? Because truth be told, it really is. To go up in the division 3-0 and add another win to that column, make it 6-2, would be a huge deal as you start to enter these playoffs. Now, I also got a chance to speak with the left tackle, Nate Mascio, so let's listen in on that. You guys scored a new team high in total points with 49 at the half and 57 overall. Any comment on that?
That's just the beginning. That just proves once again how we can move the ball effectively early in the game and early on, and then we just keep pressure on throughout the half and throughout the game.
I noticed you guys running the ball up along the left side more than usual. Any particular reason for that?
I think Chang, that's where our coach just noticed where the defense was collapsing, where the defense was weaker, so it was smarter for us to run the ball up that side so we could get more leverage and more handle on the ball on that side, and it's better for our ball security that way as well.
I'm sure you're well aware that it's homecoming week with many activities and events. How do you guys plan to stay focused in preparation for Friday's matchup with all the commotion this week?
It's just like any other week. We're just going to treat it like any other week, and we're going to stay dialed in, just like we're playing any other team for practice. And throughout the week, we're going to get to it every single day and try to get better every day.
That was some interesting insight from Nate again. It was really good to get to talk to him for, second time in a row. He's a really nice guy, and he likes coming on, so what more could you want? Now I think I'm going to have to take the Colonials on this one for Friday's game with a final score of 35-14, which is the same as last time, just by chance. I think the Colonials will continue their hot streak of scoring at least 5 touchdowns per game over these last 4 games. However, I think the Spartans will be able to punch a few touchdowns in early, with their physicality, if PW is not going to, be awake to start the game from the get-go. I will say this too: if the Spartans see any signs of Colonial weakness early and they start to convert the 2-point attempts, this game will get out of hand real quick. Now, without knowing the outcome of the game until late Friday night, stay tuned as we will be covering that game, so make sure you watch the Colonials take on the Spartans only on PWHS Sports Live. Kickoff starts at 7. Now that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. And from Plymouth White Marsh High School in the CITV studios, this is Haiden Haley signing off.